Welcome to Reach Top 10s, Episode 9, Villains. In at number 10, we have Bane. Now, Bane is easily one of the most recognisable villains on the planet. His mask is actually a luchador mask. A luchador is a Mexican wrestler, or what Spanish people call wrestling, luchadors. But his mask is what makes him so iconic. Now, in the comics, and actually when he was written, he supposedly stands at 6'8", and he weighs between 250 and 350 pounds. This is huge. Thor should have been playing him, not Tom Hardy. He's been an Arkham Asylum inmate many times, but not only is his physical appearance massive, but his intelligence is super incredibly high. That aside, he's second generation supervillain, and he is addicted to venom. Basically, I think it's just steroids. It makes him stronger. So there you go. There's Bane. And at number 9, we have Norman Bates. Now, Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 classic Psycho was the movie that frightened us all before Halloween, Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street, and all that business. This guy was the guy next door, played by Anthony Perkins, who was 28 at the time. This was the guy next door. He was a hotel manager who had mummified his mother and was committing crimes, horrific crimes, in the guise of her. She was in his head still. If you haven't watched this movie, watch it. You will all know the shower scene. You know? So in at number 8, we have Nurse Ratched. Most of you will be familiar with her from the Netflix series, if you're familiar with her at all. But I was first introduced to her when I watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This was Louise Fletcher in the 1975 movie. She was the antagonist of a fictional madhouse asylum. What's the correct thing to call it now? I don't know. But she was absolutely despicable, and you despise her from the moment she shows her face on the screen, and you're just rooting for her to either die or have some serious injury made to her. But she is the integral part of the movie. She is so horrible, and I need to say that Sarah Paulson and Louise Fletcher have both played this character superbly. I can't fault them at all. And there's something nice about a woman with a backbone, isn't there? Yeah, maybe not too much backbone though. In at number 7, we have Regan. Now, you'll be much more familiar with her as the girl played by Landa Blair from The Exorcist. Okay, that was a 1973 horror movie that filled us all with absolute dread and made us poor pants a little bit. Yeah. So this girl, basically, her mum comes home, sees her doing some very extremely and unusual things, decides to call a priest. The priest realises that it's his old adversary that he's going to do battle with again. Yeah, I pooed my pants the first time I seen this, and I reckon a lot of kids still would. But yeah, this girl was horrific. Definitely a villain, and definitely someone you would not want to meet in a dark night. And at number 6, we have Biff Tannen. Now, Biff Tannen was played by Tom Wilson in the 1985 blockbuster Back to the Future. Now, he may not have superpowers, he may not be able to vomit all over priests, or he hasn't killed anyone, but he is undeniably a person who has been in every single one of your lives. He's either been a bully at school, he's been the colleague at work who you really want to smash his face in, or he's simply the guy with road rage who will not leave you alone when you're trying to drive at a normal, sensible pace. One more thing, he was based on Donald Trump. He gets blamed for everything, doesn't he? In at number 5, we have Hans Gruber. Now, Hans Gruber is a fictional character played by Alan Rickman in the 1988 blockbuster Die Hard. Now, the plot briefly is that he is an East German terrorist situated at the top of the Nakatomi Tower, and he is doing everything he can to get $680 million worth of bonds. Now, Bruce Willis, the protagonist, is doing everything he can to defeat him. To be fair, Alan Rickman could be on here a couple of times, but I've had to make a choice, and it's Hans Gruber. In at number 4, we have Calvin Candie. Now, Calvin Candie is a character in the Quentin Tarantino 2012 blockbuster movie Django Unchained. It was played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and in my opinion, this was his finest moment. He initially, when you see him, he comes across as a Mississippi gentleman, attired in the most fine clothing, well-spoken, very polite. But underneath all that, you find a vile, evil, racist, hateful man. I don't, in fact, even think he's racist. He's just a horrifically terrible human being. Leonardo DiCaprio, I salute you, was his finest role. Incredibly powerful and very scary. In at number 3, we have Hans Landa. Now, Hans was played by Christopher Waltz in the 2009 Quentin Tarantino movie Inglourious Basterds. Now, he's playing a Nazi, so you could all just leave that there and say, oh, he plays a Nazi, he plays a good Nazi, blah, 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 blah. No. He is villainous to the extreme. He isn't even an ideological Nazi. He is just someone who is so dead set in achieving his goal, no matter what the goal is. He is psychopathic beyond anybody I think that is possibly on this list. So he does come across as one of the most scary, villainous men on here. Absolutely wonderful. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend it. In at number 2, we have Darth Vader. Now, Darth Vader first started scaring the pants off of us in 1977 in episode 4. It actually was the original Star Wars movie, but it's still episode 4, A New Hope. Voiced by James Earl Jones. Actually, originally was voiced by a different character, and it turned out to be a joke. I'll put a link down there, but if you watch it with the original voiceover, it's mental. It just looks wrong. Anyway, I remember going to see this in the cinema, and I wanted to run out and scream. I mean, I must have only been about 8. I think 8. Yeah. And I wanted to scream and run out the place. This guy was like the old-fashioned bogeyman. Everybody was frightened of him. The guys who you thought were in authority, also he was in a position of authority, and there was absolutely nobody that could do anything to him. But I think what tipped the whole thing off to me was the James Earl Jones's voice. That is what gets to you more than anything else. Actually, the heavy breathing as well. Yeah, the heavy breathing, that didn't help. That didn't help at all. Before we get to number 1, here are a few honourable mentions. In at number 1, we have the Joker. I am talking about the Heath Ledger 2008 rendition from the Christopher Nolan movie, The Dark Knight. Now, he is, what can I say about him? He's anarchic, he's chaotic, he's psychopathic, he dresses like a clown, and he's very frightening. He basically carries out psychological terrorism on everyone, including the viewers. You never feel comfortable with him, and unpredictability is what it's all about with him. He's a scary man and incredibly villainous. So that's us arrived at the end of another one. Thank you for joining me. Could you please like, share and subscribe if you want to, and hopefully we'll see you again very soon. As always, thank you. So that's